today some guest participants. Amy Biggs, owner and operator of Roasted in the Village, is with us this morning. Erica Carpenter, owner of 530 Home, another downtown Zionsville business. Kent Ezra, one of the owners of Cobblestone, our flagship restaurant on the Bricks, and Leslie Hunt, the owner of Leslie Jane. I happen to be wearing something I purchased from Leslie Jane just recently. If you haven't visited these merchants on the Bricks, why don't you make it a point to go by this week and say hi to them. So I think we've got a few questions that we want to get out of the way first, just to address some of the things that folks are asking that maybe are new from past Tuesday morning or Tuesday morning events. And then we'll launch into having some questions for our guests. All right. Let me launch this up. So one question that has come in has to do with some concern about violence or riots coming from other communities outside of Zionsville, and what the town might be doing to keep an eye on those kinds of potential events and be prepared for addressing them if that happens. So Zionsville Police Department does actively monitor areas adjacent to our town, and not only looking at what's happening in those communities, but also maintaining very strong relationships with the neighboring police departments. They even before recent events, they were always working together to share intelligence, review police reports, and monitor social media for any area of concern that they might want to alert to a neighboring community. The police department works with both individuals and groups that want to talk through concerns that they have, and maybe they want to reach out and share their concerns. So they're not just listening for potential unrest, but they're also actively working to let anyone who feels that they have that they want to use their voice to talk through issues. The Zionsville Police Department works with those organizers. They help them deliver their message in peaceful, safe manners. The ZPD also has an inventory of equipment and supplies so that they can respond promptly in a professional manner to any unplanned events in the event that they have the opportunity for any sort of safety issues. The goal within Zionsville is communication and respect, and to have to create an environment for peaceful assemblies. It's important also to remind our community members that Chief Spears has a commitment from the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Chief, Randy Taylor, to support Zionsville with resources should an event require staffing. During some of the more recent periods of disorder, Chief Spears assigned a Zionsville police officer to the Indianapolis Police Emergency Operations Center. This officer monitors activities and immediately alerts our police department of threats and intelligence, which allows for proper levels of staffing and for preparedness. Chief Spears also has obtained a commitment from the IMPD to train Zionsville Police Department officers in crowd control procedures. Training together allows our officers from both departments to utilize the same techniques and significantly improves that mutual aid response and partnership. Our police officers understand and respect citizens' rights to peacefully assemble and exercise freedom of speech. Concurrently, we are committed to ensuring peace and safety. We have been very successful doing both through working with others and supporting the rights of individuals, and will continue along the same path.
Yeah, I think to add to that, you hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. You talk about mutual aid with IMPD. I mean, you also think about the Boone County Sheriff's Office, our neighbors in Whitestown, our neighbors in Carmel, the state police, all of those have resources that if something were to occur that we needed help, or if they needed help, that those resources would be available. I think, the bigger concern we have is crimes of opportunity, right? We've got a state highway going right through Zionsville with 421. We've got interstate access with 465 being right there and 65 being there, and someone that is just coming through our community, finding an open garage, or being able to quickly grab something and get interstate access and get away from the area is probably a bigger concern than rioting in downtown Zionsville. But to that point, I think Chief Spears has done a nice job with those communications and just monitoring activities. And if there's peaceful demonstrations or protests, that's something that we'll monitor. And if they go the other way, then we've got resources to help manage those.
Yes. Okay, next question. This is coming from a community member in Rockbridge. Our neighbors in Rockbridge have been noticing a drop in cellular service to the point that it is now a safety concern. On May 8th, 2020, we had to make a 911 call while driving on County Road 300 South, just east of County Road 875 East, but the call failed. I notified the town of this through Facebook Messenger to see who I could contact to discuss this matter, and was told the town has nothing to do with cellular services. I was also contacted by the Boone County Sheriff's Department as follow-up to the dropped 911 call, and he completely understood the issue and confirmed there are many areas across Zionsville that has poor or no reception. This is just one example. One of the more common threads on our neighborhood Facebook page is about the lack of cellular coverage in the area. We share stories of dropped calls, trying to work from home with limited cell capacity, and general frustrations with lack of progress with this issue. I say all of this to ask, what is the town of Zionsville doing to address this? We are your citizens, and our safety should be a top concern. The fact that law enforcement officers are working with a lack of cellular coverage and your citizens cannot make emergency calls within your town does make this a matter for Zionsville. Please let us know what actions have been and will be taken to address this issue.
So I might take that one because I've been in cellular industry for 19 years, so I think I'm qualified to answer it.
You are the one.
The short answer and the unfortunate answer is nothing. It's not, and that answer is not a lack of compassion for your concern or a lack of validity to your concern. It is more regulatory in nature, in that cellular services are regulated by the federal government, by the FCC. And so there is nothing that we as a town or even the state can do to either mandate service or prevent service from going up. There was some controversy a few years ago about small towers going up in and around the village, where we as a town really have no way to regulate that in terms of where it goes and where it cannot go. So the pragmatic answer is looking at what cellular service may be best for your area. There's really now 3 major cellular providers with AT&T, Verizon, and now T-Mobile gobbling up Sprint. So finding the one that gives you the best coverage is going to be the answer for you. Coverage is something that's hard to find data on, quite honestly. The carriers keep that very close to the vest in terms of where they may have known or unknown drop spots. I would certainly report those drop spots to the carrier. Reporting them to us, there's really nothing we can do about it. It is what it is. And like I said, we can't mandate that they put a cellular tower in certain areas. And in many cases, they're all on the same tower. A lot of times they're just renting towers and putting their network on there. As 5G rolls out, that should improve. I know that AT&T has been putting 5G up and around Indianapolis. And so that is on a different frequency, which should have better coverage within areas, but certainly they're going to focus on denser areas first. And so, you know, if you're out in the county and some of the county roads, you may not see that as quickly as possible. You know, in terms of safety, you know, if you have safety of cellular coverage around the home, I would always recommend having a landline as a backup, just in case your cellular service is not working. Sometimes the carrier can work with you on putting in a mini cellular network within your home to help boost coverage. Again, doesn't address your issue if you're driving around. And in terms of law enforcement, you know, there's two answers to that. One is, you know, our law enforcement folks don't rely necessarily on cellular. They have radios, which are much more reliable and have a broader spectrum that they're operating on. And so they don't have those drop points that you're talking about. There's also a first responder only network called FirstNet that some first responders have access to as well, which is ironically run by AT&T, but is a separate network and can only be put on by first responders, which will have different coverage than you may have. So, you know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news or say, oh, we can't do anything, but unfortunately, you know, us passing resolutions, the mayor making statements, us calling AT&T and saying you should do this, you know, the best way to do it is really to respond with your wallet. And if you have bad service from one of the carriers, finding another carrier that can give you better service, and probably not ubiquitous service, but better service, is going to be your best answer.
Thank you. So there, the next question came from a golf cart owner who feels like the rules seem a little dumb because we really don't have a lot of options to drive outside of subdivisions. And that is true. The ordinance, I think, was mostly passed so that people could legally use golf carts within subdivisions. They're not intended to drive into the village, drive on a road, drive to work. They are, I believe that the intent behind the golf cart,
There we go.
Ordinance is so that if you live in a community, particularly one that has a golf course, you can drive it on the roads within your subdivision.
So, and I can add maybe a little context to that. This was a ordinance that was spearheaded by Councilor Jason Plunkett. The idea here too really was, and this was sort of stated when this was going on, is the ordinance has passed. The road restrictions as stated are not set in stone. This is always going to be a living ordinance and figure out, you know, what can we do from mainly from a safety standpoint. You know, we didn't necessarily want someone in a 10-mile-an-hour golf cart going down, you know, Sycamore that's 45 miles an hour. But we also didn't want them going on trails, you know, because there's blind curves and people take the governors off and start going very fast. That's a safety concern as well. And so one of the things we've talked about in working with the mayor and working with the police chief is understanding, you know, now that we've got a year under our belt, you know, do we want to loosen some restrictions on some roads? Do we want to make it more strict? That's something that we're currently debating. So it's not in its final version. It's in its current version, and we're continuing to take input and look at statistics to see, you know, what gives people accessibility while keeping everyone safe.
Super. We have a large number of bicyclists riding around town. The ones of concern tend to be uniformed, serious riders. I should add, this is a question that has been proposed. So it's a concern to this person who's providing this question. Unfortunately, they also tend to ignore street signage. You'll see a group cruise right past stop signs and drive the wrong way down one-way streets. I almost hit one of these guys this past week as he was going the wrong way down a one-way street as I was turning. Comment? Thank you. I want every resident and visitor in Zionsville to understand that there is no exception to stopping at a stop sign. There's no group pass for adhering to traffic laws. That is my statement. And so Perhaps if you are in a group of folks who maybe are cruising past stop signs or going the wrong way down a one-way street, perhaps get together and talk through how you revise your bike rides to include stopping and going the right way down the street.
Yeah, and it really needs to be, bicyclists want and should be treated as, vehicles that are allowed on the roads. I hear that frequently from bicyclists, and they should be respected and passed respectfully and safely. But at the same token, then you've got to obey the laws if you want that level of respect. You can't expect cars to navigate with you in the road if you're going to ignore different, safety pieces that are in place within those roads. So I think, to your point, Mayor, yeah, I mean, if there's a stop sign, I know it's probably a pain, but stop, look, allow the other traffic to go through if necessary, and keep going. Rolling through it does nobody any good.
Right. And I suspect that having a group of bicyclists out on a long morning ride, it has appeal to the cyclists and adds some degree of safety to their experience. But we do have to still adhere to all of the road laws still apply, even if you're in a herd.
Yep, unless you're on the Tour de France, you got to stop.
Right. All right. Let's take a break and let's chat with our guests, and then we can come back to our questions. We're probably at the middle way stop at this point. So we are so happy to have each of you here to help us understand a little bit about what your experience has been and continues to be as merchants and business owners on our main street. Let us know a little bit about how, what the community needs to know about where your business is and how you're working to serve the community and also your employees as you're going through these trying, difficult times. Amy, do you want to jump in first?
Sure, that would be great. Thanks for inviting me. I'm very excited to be here. So I'm the owner of Roasted in the Village, which is a local coffee shop. We're located just a block off of Main Street. So if you get to 530 Home, turn east, and we're right there on the south side of the road. We have so appreciated the support of the community. We did experience about a 6-week shutdown in the throes of the pandemic. And when we opened back up, we opened up with takeout and curbside. And we've been fortunate with the good weather. We were able to put a few tables outside. And so the community has really come out to support us. We get many people who come in daily for their coffee. Weekends have gotten very busy. People seem to enjoy coming in and getting their coffee. We've got coffee, tea, sodas, water, and baked goods. So they'll come grab something, perhaps go walk down to the park or go sit at one of the tables out front to enjoy whatever they've purchased. So we really appreciate that. We have been our initial effort to keep everybody safe was a combination of just takeout and curbside. We've found that most folks are very comfortable coming into the shop, and so we've eliminated the curbside unless somebody calls us and needs us to come out and take their order. We can't, like if you have a dog and you walk up, and so we allow you to do that. Excuse me, all of our baristas are masked, of course. We encourage people to wear masks, but we don't require it. What we found, particularly in a coffee shop, is sometimes people are just out for a walk or they just gone to the park and they want to stop in. Sounds like, a cup of coffee sounds good. And so they haven't remembered their mask. Some of them don't remember their wallet. So thank goodness for Apple Pay. So we are trying to keep people safe, encouraging masks, not requiring them at this point. So thanks. I hope I addressed all your questions, Emily.
No, that sounds great. Erica, how are things going with 530 Home?
530 Home is open again. We have had about the same closure, about a 6-week closure. And during that time, we really relied on our website. I was fortunate that I've had my website up and going the whole time. 530 Home, we sell home decor, painted furniture, and we carry 2 specialty paint lines. So my main website seller is the paint that people want. Actually, I shipped paint, I think yesterday, to about 6 different states, none of which were Indiana. So it's been a good thing for us to continue, obviously. And people, again, you know, a huge thanks to local friends, customers, and strangers for supporting us while we were closed. We were closed, you know, period, for about the first month. And then we started doing more curbside. People would call, I could do a credit card over the phone, that sort of thing. And now we are almost back to our regular schedule. Not quite. We're still trying to, you know, with the cleaning procedures that we've put into place, it just takes a little more time. And so we want to make sure that we're doing that correctly. We have come up with a list of, you know, what we do before and after each customer. We wear masks. For the first couple stages when we were reopened, we required masks. Since we've hit stage 4, we haven't done that, though I am reevaluating it. And if someone doesn't come in with a mask, we provide one. So we're still taking a look at that. But, you know, I do workshops here. That's where I am today, in my paint room. And we're having our 2nd and 3rd paint workshops this weekend. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, super. That's good to hear that your workshops are starting to come back online. Kent, how are you all have certainly been front and center in terms of how you're adjusting to meet the community where they feel comfortable. Thursday nights, your patio, I feel like has gotten, you know, has been an overdrive this summer. How are you all doing?
And Kent, before you start, can you talk about the important room you're in right now?
So that is my walk-in where 24 of my 28 kegs are.
Nice.
So I'm coming from you live from the basement in Cobblestone. This is where the magic happens, actually. You know? But anyway, no. But thank you. I want to thank everyone from Zionsville, the town of Zionsville, for inviting me, and I want to especially thank everyone in the town of Zionsville, because Cobblestone is viable because of our great customers and the great people of Zionsville, without a doubt. We've been going since we didn't stop. We've been doing carry out when everything was closed. We were doing carry out and curbside, and the town was spectacular with that, as far as helping us with parking spaces out front. So, you know, currently we're moving right along. We're in this 4.5 stage. So all of my staff have to wear masks all the time. So if by chance you were to see someone, you come in and see someone that's working that doesn't have a mask on, well, then that's not good. I need to know. But we have implemented all kinds of cleaning procedures. We try and wipe everything down from the, you know, tables and chairs and railings and doors and everything we're doing with that. I actually, we're supposed to be 75% inside in the dining room, and I actually took that back just because, you know, inside is a little different than outside when you're sitting in this current times. So we tried to have a little bit more space inside than outside. Outside is definitely the spot to be, and you know, please give us a ring and make a reservation outside anytime you'd like to. Thursday nights has been absolutely spectacular for us. I encourage everyone to come downtown and definitely got to get into those retail shops too. But overall, we are doing good. Hopefully this COVID situation will at some point reduce a little bit, but we're here. You can sit outside, and I think we're good to go.
Fantastic. And last but definitely not least, Leslie Hunt.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Like Erica and Amy, I of course, when we shut down, your first thought as a retailer is, okay, I'm gonna have to pivot here. I love using that word. It's really become quite the important word to use in our business. So I had a website. I have had it for probably 3 years and never had the opportunity to really put a lot of effort into it. So that was my focus while we were shut down, was to try and get that website going in a better way. The stumbling block that I ran into, though, was that most of my suppliers were also shut down. So getting merchandise in was a real struggle. So I kind of had to use what I had in the store at the time to kind of beef it up. I added gift certificates, gift cards to it, and I have to say, I echo what Amy and Erica and Ken has said, that the people in Zionsville have just been amazing, very supportive in every way, and we're really blessed to have that, to have them here, and to have them care about us the way that they do. I took a little extra time when we were given the release to open at, I guess it was 50% capacity at first. I kind of forget now. I'm trying to forget. Because I had to rework the interior of the store as best I could, so I could allow for a lot of social distancing and to make sure that everybody was going to be at least 6 feet apart. So that kind of created yet another bit of a hurdle, because I lost merchandising space. So you have to kind of figure out how you can maintain the same amount of merchandise, just rework it differently so that was fun. It was really fun to figure that one out. I require masks. I have a sign on the door. It has my store hours in it, and it basically says, if you don't have a mask, I will provide one. And I think I'm gonna move into, if you have a medical condition, I have a face shield. I have teenagers who work here with me. I try to keep their hours to a minimum. I don't want to expose them, and I don't want to be exposed. So the way I look at it, that mask or that shield, if I'm wearing it, I protect you. If you're wearing it, you protect me and everyone else who's in the store. So in some ways, that's been a turnoff for some people. I mean, I've had them leave and just tell me they'll go spend their money elsewhere, and I understand that. That's okay. But it's more important to me to stay healthy and have everyone else stay healthy.
Well, I appreciate that too, and I appreciate that you wear your sentiments along that regard, and that is a requirement, because it does speak to your priority to keep any of your customers who are coming inside safe.
We also have to steam everything. Our dressing rooms are open, so if someone wants to try something on, it's available, but it gets steamed before it gets put back out on the rack. And I also do, I still do deliveries, and we still do curbside, which is what we started during the shutdown. So we'll still do that. And if they buy something on the website and they're in Zionsville or Carmel, we'll take it to their house and just put it on, do porch delivery.
If I might jump in real quick, I just wanted to say, when you come into Cobblestone, you don't have to wear a mask. You can if you'd like to, and obviously it's difficult to eat and drink when you have a mask on, but I just wanted to comment that most of my customers have noticed that I look much better with the mask on than not. So here we go. So wear a mask.
So I'm curious.
I was just going to say,
you go ahead.
Look, I was just going to say, Leslie and I have talked about this. One of the things that we really had to kind of retrain ourselves when we reopened was we pride ourselves on our customer service, but the social distancing makes it hard to really help people as you would have previously helped them. And so with Leslie, it's setting up the dressing room. With me, it's, consulting about a paint color or, working with them to pick something up and bringing it. And so it's not that we don't value what they're trying to do or don't appreciate or don't want to help them still in the same way. It's just, being more aware of that. And that's been one of the hardest things for me. I still have to catch myself sometimes when I'm walking up to a customer, if they have a question or if they, have something, it's one of those things that I didn't really think about until we actually reopened the store.
It's really
so true.
It's a really weird feeling that you can't interact, in the way you could. And I had to retrain all my high school kids, because if we saw somebody with an item of clothing, we'd say, "May I start a dressing room for you?" Well, I've had to keep telling them, "No, you don't. No, that's okay. Don't do that. Keep your distance."
But it is very hard. I still have trouble, thinking about seeing someone I haven't seen in a while, and I just instantly want to hug them. And I'm like, nope, that's not an okay thing to do. Like, there's just stuff that we're used to being on autopilot about the response that we have that's very human and very caring and customer service oriented. And it's I guess it's a good thing that it's hard for us to turn that stuff off. So are there things as we keep moving forward that your local government, that your community, your customers need to know or can do to help continue to facilitate your company's shops, restaurants to grow and thrive as we go forward?
I guess one thing that I would say is to have communication with the store owner. If there's something that you need that you don't see, have that conversation. I mean, we're all trying to adapt and bring in the types of things that they need and want right now that'll make their lives easier or whatever. So having that conversation helps me. I'm sure it helps even Amy and Erica as well, as retailers.
I might just mention something that I don't think the public knows about restaurants right now. And it's not just Cobblestone, it's all restaurants in the state. You can only sit 6 people at a table. And so that's kind of been a question. People are wondering about parties and things like that. We certainly can do parties. We just have to, instead of having tables of 20 or 15 or something like that, we just have to separate them just in no more than 6 people. So but as far, and that's just, most people don't understand that, and you can have parties of people in large parties. We have a room we call the Bourbon Room that seats up to 30 people, so we just have to keep them separated as much as we possibly can, and on six people only to a table. As far as helping everyone in our businesses, is just keep doing what everyone's doing. I mean, we're go do some carry out. If you don't want to go out to eat, you certainly can go to any of the restaurants and grab some carry out, and that helps out tremendously. That helped us through, and it helped Cobblestone through the close down for sure. So that's just keep trying to go out there and hit the retail and hit the restaurants and do what you can.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's key is, just as people are comfortable to keep coming out, and also to understand, I think all of us are trying to do our best to make the right decisions. And I know you get a wide spectrum of what people are comfortable for. So for us, we've opted not to have in-cafe seating at this point because our space is relatively small. It's hard to give enough social distancing and not make it a little chaotic. And our baristas are concerned. They don't want to be exposed. So I would say that people have been understanding before, and I appreciate that, and would appreciate continued understanding that we're trying to do the best for all the constituents, whether it's the customer, the community, and our employees in the decisions that we're making. So thanks.
Well, thank you all so much. We for all of the business owners and retail establishments and restaurant owners who couldn't participate today, please know that we would like to hear from you too. If there are things that you have suggestions for us or concerns, things that the town and the town council and just a broader community can do to help support your businesses moving forward, let us know. We appreciate each of you and your time today and sharing your stories. It's been terrific having you.
And one thing I'll add, Leslie mentioned having to pivot when business changed. I think the thing I've been so impressed about with our local businesses, our local retailers, our local restaurants is their flexibility. In unknown times, and Amy said there's really no guideline for this, you're sort of making the best call that you can. I guess in some pessimistic news, I remain optimistic because of you guys, because of what I see in not just doing the same old thing and hoping for the best, but doing new things and seeing what works, and some may not work, and other things may thrive with decisions you make, and that gives me a great deal of hope for us as a community and for the main street that we have to continue to thrive. So thank you. I know it is not an easy job that you guys have. It's a lot of risk, it's a lot of stress, but it's what makes the fabric of our community. And you can see in my picture in the background, it's what people think about as Zionsville is
I
your
see
stores.
You have Cobblestone and Leslie Jane in your picture, so maybe next time you can come down to our block. And
I'll do it next time, Erica. No problem. Send me a photo and I'll put it up.
I'll do it.
It's actually an old logo too, just so you know. We've changed.
Oh, all right. Fair enough.
Our stock photography is just a wee bit dated.
Full suspect.
I was laughing, by the way. Just so you know.
Quick, put the mask back on, Kent.
Yeah, I know. Damn it.
All right. Well, we're going to get back to some of the additional questions we have. There's just a few highlights I'd like to offer before we jump into that. The town does have a variety of financial support assistance programs related to COVID-19. The Boone DC Small Business Economic Relief Fund offers loans up to $10,000 for Boone County businesses, and the Community Development Corporation in Zionsville is offering funding for businesses that fall into that TIF district that are more grant programs. But information for both of these are on the town's website. So please make sure if you are interested and feel like this may be something you'd qualify for, that you learn more through that and reach out to us with questions. The other thing that you will see real easily from our website is the virtual open house and website for our Overly Warman Park project that is launching. It is super cool. It's a great opportunity to kind of get a look at not just where our parks are today, but where they're heading. And with this new feature, it's very well done. Speaking of parks, we also have a public input meeting that will be virtual, and there will also be some in-person options as well at the Town Hall Plaza outdoors. The date for that is July 28th from 6:30 to 7:30. Where we'll have it at Mulberry Field Park. So go to our website to get all of the dates and the places for these different ways to provide input to future park growth and projects, and definitely let your voice be heard. Finally, Chief Knox's retirement celebration is scheduled for August 3rd, and it will be following the town council meeting. We're looking at around 8-ish, right, Josh?
That's correct, and it will be outside to keep everyone distant. We ask people to wear masks. It's a chance to honor someone who dedicated 40 years of his life to public service and worked his way up from patrol officer to chief of police for Zionsville. So we're anxious to. It's unfortunate it's taken this long to get everything together, just with closings and whatnot. But community is certainly welcome to come honor Chief Knox.
Super. Okay, back to some questions. This one is with regard to street dance and Brick Street Market. This individual is asking the Zionsville Chamber of Commerce to cancel or postpone both of these events. Given the increase of cases in Indiana and also within Boone County, it's not prudent to hold events that could be super spreaders, even if they take place outside. Social distancing may not happen at either event, even if held in Lions Park. The Fall Festival has been canceled. It's incumbent upon the chamber to follow the lead of the Lions Club and do the same. Our local businesses can't afford a second complete shutdown in the third or fourth quarter. We all need to make sacrifices for the greater good. It's time. This is an opportunity for the chamber to take a second look at this. And I think that, you know, this is trying to understand how to move forward with events that are anchors for our business community, that bring in foot traffic and customers, has been an ongoing, an ongoing option to continue to evaluate as it relates to our public health crisis that is also happening at the same time. So, you know, I appreciate this question, but I also think that it is a tricky thing to navigate. Having activities outdoors is a bridge to trying to do things safely, but I'm sure that the Chamber of Commerce is going to continue to look at Governor Holcomb's stages. We are currently in 4.5, which means that even outdoor assembly events need to be limited to 250 people. So, you know, I think that I know all of us here in Town Hall keep looking to the governor to help us understand how we keep moving forward with events, with projects safely as it relates to their guidance.
Yeah, none of these decisions are political in nature. They're just pragmatic in nature. And I think that, you know, everyone is doing their best, much like, you know, the 4 business owners on here. You know, you're doing your best to make decisions. No one wants to put anyone's life in jeopardy needlessly. And if you're not comfortable, you know, certainly, you know, you should not attend. There are other people that might be more comfortable that may want to attend. So it's kind of a moving target. I wish it was as easy as just yes or no. But looking at governor's guidance, looking at CDC guidance, trying to make the best call, it may not always be the right call, is really what we can hope for. So I'm sure the chamber is not dismissing your concern. You know, I think they weigh all of the different stakeholders in that kind of decision. Fall Festival, I think, was a little different only because it was so kid focused. That is much harder to get them to wear masks, get them to socially distance. You know, street dance is more geared towards adults, and hopefully adults can act like adults and follow certain guidelines that you know, are for everyone's best intentions.
Right, and you know, the council and I are in contact with the Boone County commissioners and the Boone County Council, and also with the Zionsville, you know, school corporation. We all want to make sure that we're making decisions that don't negatively impact some other aspect of our community. And I think right now, as we're looking at the reopening plan for the school system, they're pretty vigilant about keeping their workforce safe while they work to completely transform school again options this fall. So we will definitely keep discussing with with public health and emergency management folks around how we make the best decisions we have with the information we have at the time. Let's see. What is the status of the PNC demolition? It was my understanding that the project was to start in early July. So it was originally contemplated that the demolition would be in July, but that was when we only had the PNC building on the docket for removal. as we were moving through the organizing those plans, we learned that the lock shop that is also on that parcel was available for the lease was coming up for that particular building as well. And so we decided that we would take advantage of that lease coming to a term and remove both buildings. As a result, we had to extend the time frame because we wanted to get through the process of that other tenant in the lock shop building to go through all of the steps so that they could have the ability to safely and on their lease time frame remove everything in that building and exit that piece. So right now we're looking more at we're going through the asbestos inspection for both buildings. Need to make sure that we understand exactly what's going to be disrupted when we do the demo. So that piece is ongoing. We're looking at that to be complete at the end of July. So right now, assuming we don't find asbestos, so if we do find asbestos in either one of those buildings, then we'll have a remediation plan that could extend that time frame by a couple of weeks. But just look now for that date to be sometime in August for removing both businesses and both buildings. And then we get to really start focusing on now what do we do with that piece of property. And I'm super excited about where those conversations are going to take us. All right, this is a long one. I'm going to see if I can't try to, oh, actually the response is long. All right, has there been any action taken against the contractors working in the Iron Gate neighborhood or plans to not use them again for any future Zionsville town projects? Specifically, I am referring to the 2 gas leaks on back-to-back days, plus a gas leak a few months ago, 2 of which required extended evacuations. Additionally, they have also at times left the road in such a bad shape that UPS drivers refuse to deliver packages and have also left food, drink, trash in the yards. Here's the answer that we have for this question. First, it is the responsibility of the contractor or person doing the digging to call Indiana 811 and request underground utilities be marked at least 2 business days prior to beginning their work. It is the responsibility of Indiana 811 to process these requests and notify the utilities. Then it is the utilities' responsibility to make their underground facilities to make sure that they are correctly marked. The town of Zionsville does not investigate these matters locally, as that it is the legal responsibility of those entities noted above anytime there is a utility strike that results in damage, whether a single or repeat occurrence. Each time an underground utility is damaged, there is an investigation to determine financial responsibility and fault. There could be any number of reasons for a damaging strike, ranging from operator error to unmarked or improperly marked utilities. We don't get into the business of the town of Zionsville doesn't have any role to play in this process at all. It is a very big inconvenience, and they did happen all, it seemed a perfect storm of happening together. But it's important that no one really try to determine who's at fault for these, because there are a number of different, areas where a mistake can be made. And it's also important for all of us to understand that there are significant fines and penalties to companies and or individuals when this does happen. It is possible that individuals will lose their jobs depending on the circumstances. These strikes and these errors are never taken lightly, particularly with natural gas due to the safety factor. So what the town can do is request a final disposition about these situations and understand, in hindsight what happened, but that usually takes quite a while, as sometimes those things are protected through any kind of litigation or court process. And we may have already had some other new events to be, concerned about that's taken place since then. But that is, in a nutshell, is our, little exercise in what happens when a gas line is struck and who's responsible and who gets put in timeout.
Can I ask the next
Okay.
question?
Yeah.
I want to read it verbatim.
Yeah. Okay. You do that one. Thank you.
Okay, so you laughed off this question last time saying I must think or imply all the town employees are, quote, on holiday versus working from home. From personal experience with some of our employees working remotely, I know that productivity suffers. So I'll ask again, as a Zionsville taxpayer that pays for both the town employees and that big beautiful building that had to be built to house the town employees, is or when will the town hall be fully open and all employees back at the office? And while I know the standard canned response will be along the lines of, we are doing it for the safety of the employees in the town, look at the low numbers of Boone County cases and the extremely low number of fatalities that are below the age of 80 plus with 2 or more comorbidities and not in an elder care facility. I believe our taxpayer funded employees and the town facility are about the only business or facility in the county that is closed. So I'm going to start answering this one in the sense that, sometimes when I get annoyed, I laugh. And I'm annoyed at the phrasing of this question where, it's a fair question to say, when will the town hall be open? When I start getting annoyed is I'm a taxpayer and I demand that it be open. We are doing things, as we sort of talked about earlier, in the best that we can, with the best ideas that we can think of, keep employees safe and to keep the public safe. And the mayor, with my full support, has decided to keep town hall closed to the public for the time being. I'm not quite sure what inconveniences that this is causing, because I have found that the staff has been as productive. I've not seen any complaints come my way about things not getting processed, questions not getting answered, projects not getting completed. If this individual's employees are having productivity suffering when they're working remotely, that's their business issue. I know with my business, we took 2,000 employees and put them all remote, and we've seen productivity grow. So I have no concerns with town hall being closed for safety reasons. We don't just necessarily live in Boone County. People go to Marion County where there's other cases coming. They go travel around and bring that back. And so if there is a specific need that you are asking about related to this being open, that you can't get done, I would like to hear about it and we would like to address it. If this is just a general, I want this building open because I pay for it, that's not how it's going to work. Sorry.
Okay, well, what he said.
Yeah.
So like many residents that have moved to Zionsville, we moved to Zionsville for a few reasons: a great school system, the feeling of safety, the charm, the beautiful brick-lined Main Street, charming mom and pop local businesses we support, etc. So here's a question along the lines of supporting that safety component. Can the town council propose or enact a resolution to support our police department and thank the police officers and their families for their dedication and professionalism, and to show our community's commitment to fully fund the Zionsville Police Department and all that they do to serve our very grateful community?
So I guess I'll take that one because it's more a legislative question. Typically when we do a resolution, we're wanting to do a resolution that is more than just lip service of something that we support. It is really an action-based resolution. So, I have no doubt, and I will speak for my other 6 counselors, that, we fully support ZPD, we fully support Chief Spears. We have a very good relationship with him and what he is trying to do around things like diversity and making sure that our officers are have the resources and training necessary to do their jobs. I think we're going to do that on August 3rd with supporting of former Police Chief Knox. And so I've encouraged this person to come out and show that support, and we certainly back the blue. So there's no real conversation we're having around, defunding the police. I know that's been something that has been a popular subject sort of nationally. That's not something that we're considering here in ZPD. I think the way that council supports the police as well is through the budgeting process, which is, when the budget is presented, when Chief Spears and Mayor Styron come to us and say, this is what we think we need for the police to keep Zionsville safe for 2021. there's good dialogue there, and that we understand that and support that. So I'm not dismissive of the sentiment behind it, and I will say publicly here on this meeting that I fully support ZPD. But I don't want to turn our council into a bunch of resolutions that are just no action, because they start losing their meaning at that point if it's just reading a bunch of things that we support.
Thank you, Josh. I would say that we do have a fully funded police department ordinance, and that's the 2020 budget ordinance. And they are fully funded, as well as all the other town agencies. We are really grateful that our financial situation left us in a place where today we, even in declining revenue as a result of COVID-19, we've been able to cut back in some areas and reserve some funding, so just to be cautious and responsible, but we've not had to go in and cut officially any department's budget, including the police departments, during this time frame. And I think some organizations, some communities have had to do that because of concerns of really revenue shortfalls, but that's not something we've had to do. So our police department is fully funded, and just like all the other departments in the town, we're putting together our 2021 budget projections and requests right now.
And that is really because of the community. The last council before this current council agreed with other communities around Boone County, Lebanon and Thorntown and Whitestown, to approve a local income tax. So you'll see, on your pay statements a LIT. If you wonder what that is a Boone County local income tax that goes and funds public safety within Boone County, half to the sheriffs and half to local communities. And so we're able to do that because that was passed and because people contribute through that tax, and that will continue allowing us to stay fully funded. Otherwise, we might have to make some tough decisions that may have ramifications for the community.
All right, well, that's it for questions. We will continue these once a month. So start reaching out to us in the future. You don't have to wait until this event if you have a burning question that you want to get asked, but definitely we look forward to getting together again in a month and answering more of your questions. Thanks again, all of you, for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye,
Take
everyone.
care. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.